Hello and welcome to English Country Life, and welcome to our garden on a glorious spring evening. This, in the words of Douglas Adams, is a trilogy in 4 parts. This is the update on the 3-part series we did on apple tree grafting. In part 1 we talked about why you might want to graft. In part 2 we looked at the right time of year to do it, and in part 3 we examined grafting technique. Today, by request, we're going to look at how do I know my graft has taken and what do I do with it now. Let's take a look. This is one of the Adams pearmain trees that we grafted. As you can see, we've got a lot of growth on it. I want to walk you through an inspection. Before we do that, it's worth saying, what shape do you want to end up with? I'm not going to go through all the possible shapes of apple trees, but I want this to end up as a single trunk and as a maiden, and ultimately we'll grow that into that wine glass lollipop apple tree shape. There's plenty of other shapes, and by all means look them up. There's espaliers and cordons and bushes and lots of ways you can grow an apple tree. We like the classic wine glass shape. It suits our land. So let's have a look through the inspection routine. First thing, find the graft. Find where the tape is. We want nothing below the graft. Nothing growing below the graft, because if it is, then it's actually growing a crab apple. We don't want that. We want the apple variety that we put on the scion above the graft. On this one, it doesn't appear to be anything below the graft, so that's great. What we do have is 1, 2, 3, 4 shoots coming off the scion. There is several ways we could deal with that, but I like this shoot the best. Big strong shoot coming up nice and straight, and if we sort of look inside, what we can see is actually coming from quite a long way down on the scion wood. Well, my technique for that is simple. Just cut off the piece of scion we don't want, shoots and all. And what we've now got is a nice, thin, single growing shoot. This little crispin that we grafted has a lot going on. Here we have what is clearly development below the graft. So all of that can be pinched off. Now what we have is this coming from inside the graft, and to remove that I'm going to cut it off with a sharp knife because I don't want to stress the graft at all. Above the graft we have this little weak shoot. Well, we'll get rid of that. We have another shoot here. It's lower than I would like, so we'll remove that. At the very top we actually have 2 separate shoots. Not much in it, to be honest, so I'm going to remove the lower one. There's a little bit of wood here, and that's above our last remaining shoot, so I'm going to take that out with secateurs at an angle. That leaves us one nice clean shoot, and we'll tie that in. When you graft, you're going to get failures. You're going to get dead scions and lots of bushy stuff coming off the rootstock. Here's what you do. Remove the scion, all the grafting tape, pinch out all this bottom growth and let one strong shoot from the rootstock develop. And in a year or two's time you graft onto that. All you've lost is a twig and 8 inches of plastic tape. This is one of the 2 trees that I grew, which are a sunset scion on the MM106 rootstock. It looks great until you look close, and when you look close you realise that all this growth is coming from on or below the graft, and above we've got a twig. I suspect, unfortunately, that the graft on this has failed. What I'm going to do, I would normally take a thumbnail and just scratch at the bark, but I've just cut my nails and it won't work. So I'm going to take the edge of my knife. Now that is really interesting. I'm going to bring the camera in close and let you have a look. Let's look at that bark then. Here, where I've scratched it, what I believed to be a dead twig is showing green under the outer bark. Now that means it's alive. Could mean one of 2 things. It could mean the graft has taken, but the shoots are slow to start, or it could be that the graft has failed, at which point it must mean that this is just very slow to die back, the scion wood. Sadly, I suspect the latter, but we'll leave it longer and we'll find out. What is interesting is that both of the ones that appear to have failed to sprout are the same variety, which could be telling me it's just slow to take. We'll have to wait and find out. So that was how to know when your graft has succeeded, how to grow your grafted scion onto a maiden, and what to do if you think you've got a failure. If you're finding this kind of simple country content interesting, please give us a thumbs up down below and leave us a comment. It really helps the channel out if you do. And if you want to hear more from us, click the subscribe icon and the notification bell and you'll hear every time we post a new video. It's always great to see you, so come back and see us soon. Take care.